Hello, Brother Sewing and Crafting family. Angela Wolf here, Brother Brand Ambassador, and I'm so excited to see you today. So, did you catch the last few live shows? At Your Side Virtually by Brother. Well, we've been featuring a lot of cool things that would be great gifts for Mother's Day. So, on Tuesday, Kathy Gandy had a ton of cool stuff using the sublimation printer, embroidery, scan and cut, you name it. Well, the week before, I was going to do a mug rug using fabric that I printed on Print Moda. I took a ton of family pictures, dropped them into a software, printed it off just like a regular printer. Some of you said, can you just print like a regular printer? Yes, you can. Just make sure you pick the right tray so you're not accidentally printing on your beautiful fabric when you want to print on paper. But yes, you can. So as I started playing with that, if you missed that session, you can go back and watch it on Brother YouTube or Facebook pages. But I was kind of playing with it, and it was bigger than a mug rug, unless I buy her a cup this big or a big vase with flowers. I guess that would work too. But we were playing with adding some stippling and adding fun things like that. And then after the live show, I received quite a few messages of people that said, we want to see what you're going to do. So I'm taking you along. So this is part 2 for the mug rug that has now turned into a centerpiece for the table. But I was trying to think, okay, I don't want just that. I really didn't want it to be a pillow. I wanted it something on her table because she always has coffee in the morning and she's writing her letters and reading books. So I thought, what about adding all the names? You can do that in the embroidery machine, right? And why don't we do as much as we can in the hoop? So I'll take you over there. Say hi, say where you're from. We will be answering your questions in the chat today. But until then, let's get rolling. All right, so here is the finished product from last week. All right, so we embroidered. I did get a little stippling on my head. I think I mentioned that to you guys. And I even, right through here, I picked out the stitches. I couldn't stand it. I didn't want pink all over my head. So I ripped those stitches out. And I'm going to come back over here just real quick. When I ripped the stitches out, I was very careful. I didn't make any holes in the fabric. And because it's cotton, I gave it a little steam and rubbed it with my fingernail, and the holes went away. So that was a good thing. All right, let me just get rid of this for you and come back over here. So I took it out, I pressed it, I ripped out the few stitches I needed to rip out. And you can see it's kind of just a hodgepodge. It's definitely not totally squared off. I think this is about 10 inches by the time I cut it, and this side is about 8 inches. So, but it looks pretty cool, right? Now I left it in the stabilizer, and if you missed this lesson, you have to go back and watch it because I'm not going to go back over that. But I left it in the stabilizer, and there's a lot of room to move this around in the hoop. So I found some fabric that matches the beautiful cotton. This one it's kind of a paisley. I know it's going to be super hot on that screen. I'll take you to a different screen just so you can see it. I wanted to find something with a print, but not too much. And I already added all the pink. Of course, Mary Stevens, I got to give you a shout out because you said pick something that matches your mother's kitchen. Well, that didn't work. I found this, but this might match her bathroom. So I thought this might look good on the back side if I decide I want to add some color. But since we're focusing on the photos, I want to add an edging all the way around the outside. So here's the fabric. You might be there. Now you can see it. See the paisley? So I think that's going to match beautifully, and I can put stitching then with the names. And I thought I would use the color of thread that I used for the stippling and for the letters, that was a pink and a burgundy. So I have 4 strips of fabric here. They're cut about 12 inches long. I actually just took a fold of fabric, so they're about 20 inches long. I won't need the whole thing, but they are 6 inches wide. And the reason I did that is when we add them to the hoop, we're going to do all this in the hoop. So we're going to have a nice line that I will align this to with right sides together. We'll stitch that line in the hoop, open it up, and then we can add all the names. So I went ahead and wrote all the names for everyone in the family around to figure out how it's all going to fit. So this way I have more room. So I added more names there. And then I was one off, not one off, but to keep it even, we got to have room for Jackson. So if I move Jackson down here, I only have 4 names up here. And I thought, well, let's add my mom's name. So we'll add mom at the top and then everybody around. It'll be kind of fun. All right, so the first thing I'll have to do then is go mark where these lines are going to go, because we're going to basically sew on these strips in the hoop, then add the lettering, and then we'll go back and we'll just add a whole base to the bottom. So this will be a nice tablecloth. All right, so meet me back at the big table. And again, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat. Brother Social will be in there answering for you. And I will pop in too if you had anything for me. All right, back to the camera. So before I rehoop this, and we're going to take a photo of it, we're going to have to take this out and take a photo a few times. So I'll do once with you just so you can see how this works. Now, I hooped this totally crooked earlier. It doesn't matter because you're going to take a photo. But I do know that my bottom seam is going to have to go really close to those letters that I attached in here. So I grabbed fabric marking pen. This is not a Brother product, but if you go to your local craft store, you can find it. And it usually has a purple side and a blue side. One is wash away, one is air. It disappears in 24 hours. That's the one I'm going to use. I think you'll be able to see it better anyways. And just as a warning, if you're ever doing alterations, don't use this side if you're not going to get to the sewing right away. Ask me how I know that. All right, so I'm just going to kind of line up this quilter's ruler with those letters here. And that will be one of my stitch lines. You see that purple line okay? Just barely. Let me see if I can make it just a little darker. That might be better. All right, and so now to square that off, I'll use the quilter's ruler, line it up along that line I just drew, and then slide over as far as I want to go. Doesn't really matter. I want some of this in. I don't have to have all of it. I could go way out here if I want to, but this is such a, I did it on purpose where it was kind of messy. I'm just going to cut some of it off. All right, I think that should do. So I have it squared up down here. Go over just a little bit further. All right, so there's another line here. And I'm going to square up this side as well while I'm over here. So I'm lining up part of my quilter's ruler with that first line that I drew. I'm trying to do this without sticking my head in there. Okay, let's try that. And slide over. Okay. And now the last line, I will use one of these previous lines that I just drew to square this off with the other side. Then I'll slide it down as far as I want to make sure that I get rid of some of this, but not all of it. There's that heart that I put in there. All right, so those lines should be dark enough that I can see them. I'm just going to make them a little bit darker. This pen is a little bit older, so it's kind of already erasing already. It's supposed to be a 24-hour. It has not been 24 hours. It's been like 10 minutes. There we go. So these are going to be our seam lines that we need to bring into the machine. Make sense? All right, so grab your hoop. We were using the biggest one, so you might as well just keep using it for now. And this time, we're going to slide this over because I want to focus on this area here. Now, if you did not cut, if you were following along and you did the same thing, if you don't have enough stabilizer, just add another piece to it. You could sew it on, you could use sticky back, whatever you prefer. Doesn't matter if it's straight because you're going to end up playing with this a little bit anyways. So, all right, make sure that that's tucked in there. I'm just borderline to the edge, but I'm not going to be stitching up there yet anyway. So this is the main focus area for this section. All right. I'm just going to make it just a smidge tighter. I think I loosened it up after I saw you. I was embroidering some other things besides this. So this is the area we're going to focus on. So to start, we need to take a photo of our hoop. Remember how to do that? Go ahead and grab your My Design Snap app. I'll open up mine here. Okay. I always forget to open my camera. Oh, by the way, if you forget to turn on your Wi-Fi, you have to turn on your Wi-Fi. That's the only way it can connect to your machines. So I'm just getting that set up here. Okay. So we're on Wi-Fi. Now let's go to My Design Snap app. And it's going to tell me what machines are showing up right now. I've got 2 machines on right now. I'm sewing on my XP and I've been embroidering on my XE2. So check which one you want to send this to. And we want to send it to the Still Air, which I already have a check there, which is fine. All right. So touch that machine. And now what do we want to do? We want to send this to My Design Center because we're going to create a line. Well, you could do this on Embroidery too, but first we want to go to My Design Center. All right, so snap capture, click OK, and then again, you'll lift this up. You can see it's counting down 3, 2, 1. Perfect. That's what it looks like. So send it to the machine. It's sending, and I'll meet you to the machine. It says it's there, so let's head on over. I hope you've had a chance to check out My Design Snap app. I had a couple people asking me about it. Make sure I'm going to the machine. And it's so easy to use. So for a lot of the things that I've been doing with this project, I have to keep taking the hoop out to take photos, but it just takes a second. You have your phone with you all the time. I did find my phone, my other phone, the one that I was trying to use Artspira last week. Yeah. You all must have sent me some good vibes. I found it at the very bottom of my computer bag, tucked under. The battery was dead, so I couldn't even call it. So Artspira is back in order in the Angela Wolf studio. All right, so add the embroidery machine. And you also need to grab one piece of that fabric that you cut. So I'll bring that over too. All right. Slide this into the hoop. All right, click on your screen. To open it up, I got to wake her up. She's been sleeping. Let's go into My Design Center and click up here. And then click on Wi-Fi and it will bring up the image. Should be this one right here. And you can always go through and delete your images too. If I'm working on something that when I'm finished, sometimes I'll go in and delete it. But there's the new hooping. If you look really close there. Okay. So just click OK, or click Set, I should say. And there it's showing up. If you want it darker, do you remember what to hit right here? It'll make it darker or lighter. And I can just barely see that purple line that I drew. So now I want to give myself a line. And let me go into the shapes just to double check. I don't want to just do like a, no, we're just going to do a line. All right, click on the pencil button. And in here you want to pick, let's just go with the triple stitch. You could even just use just a plain old straight stitch too, but, and then here's the straight line right there. You see that? And why don't I make this green so we can see it? Click OK. I definitely don't want it to be pink, the exact same color that I'm going to be using for the lettering, because it'll all embroider at the same time. That won't help me out. All right, so there's my, it's not quite. There we go. Let's see. Nope, that's crooked. Try it again, because I can make the line and then I can move it over. You're probably thinking, why can't I just take this and just sew it? You can. All right, so it's erroring to this side. So let's go over here. There we go. And, you know, they do have what they call crazy quilts. So if you didn't like the line that you drew, you can always go back and make it messy and just say you meant to do that. All right, I'm going to try one more. Doesn't help that I'm trying to lean over a camera for this either. That looks pretty good. So there's my line. Click on next. There is my stitch line. Just making sure there isn't anything else I want to click on there. Nope, I'm fine. And you can change the length if you want. You know what? We don't need a 2.0. We could even do a 2.5 or 2.3 or 2.5 to 3.0. This is your stitch length. So just think of sewing. All right. They call it a run pitch, but that's how long the stitches are. So 2.5 to 3.0 would be fine. Click set. Let's go to preview. All right. I'm just hitting these buttons at the bottom, which will take us to the embroidery side. And guess what? It includes our background, so we don't have to do that again, which is great. And I can see my line. It's pretty close to where I wanted it to be. So first of all, we're going to embroider that first. Now, I've already drawn myself the purple line, but if you need an extra line as a guide, you could stitch that line first and then stitch it again. But I can see it just fine. So take your fabric, and with right side facing down, you want about a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So if this is my line, make sure you can see that okay. Yeah. If this is my line, let's line it up right. There's the purple line. And now let's move it over. If you want to measure, you can measure. Grab my little seam gauge so you know what I'm talking about. I want to measure over 1/2 inch, which is right there. It could even be 1/4 inch, actually. You just want to have enough that you can have a seam right there, and then we're going to fold that open. And this 6-inch piece is wider than we're going to need. I just wanted plenty of room for a seam allowance and to put whatever names I can fit in on that side. All right, so for this line, we're just stitching from here to here. Go ahead and click embroider. You know what? I have pink thread in here. I better change that to white, since I am giving this away, because you'll be able to see it. All right, so let me see if I can find some white thread. I just had some here. Yeah, here we go. And then for the letters, when I add the names, I'm going to use pink and burgundy, which will look nice. All right, so let me just thread this real quick. If you've never seen this threader in action, it's one button, which I love. Okay. Okay, now we'll stitch this. And you could tape the fabric down if you feel like you need to do that. It's laying nice and flat. I'm just going to make sure nothing gets skewed as it stitches. Is that the fastest stitch line ever? And it looks like it's following my purple line, so I did pretty good there. And I chose the triple stitch, so it's going to go back and forth. I can see that stitch width at 2.5 millimeters. We definitely could have even gone to 3.0. It would have been fine. All right. Now we're going to flip this to this side. And if you want to press it, go ahead. This fabric seems to be laying pretty nice and flat, so I'm not going to worry about it. But you could take the hoop out and press if you wanted to. So now by flipping that open, I have that side finished. So now we need to add our names. So if I look back over here at the screen, I'm going to click, let's see. I was going to see if I could bring that image back up. It disappeared when we were finished with this. Nope, it looks like I got to take another photo. Usually it'll stay, but you know, it's because I sent it to my design center and it only sent it over here for a minute. Just double checking that it's not in there. I know where that is. All right, well, then let's take it out and take a photo, and now we're going to send it to the embroidery machine. On the way, we might as well give it just a super quick pressing since we already have it out. Why not, right? I know. If it doesn't fail, if it's going to fail, it'll be during a live show. So anyways, because we sent it to my design center, that's where the image is right now. Now, I'm sure there's something I could click to bring that back up, but I can't for the life of me think of it right now while we're live, so I'm just going to take another photo. I don't want to add any other of these other strips yet because notice how part of it's outside of the hoop. Now, if you're going to press, just be very careful to not touch the sides of the hoop. All right, gave it a little steam, and that is down beautifully now. So this will be our first side where we add names. All right, so since I'm right here, you know what? My phone is over at the other camera. I'll meet you over there. I wore my loud cowboy boots today. My goodness, probably sounds like a horse walking through here. I know you got to dress cute every once in a while, right? Yeah, that looks nice. And see, I gave myself plenty of room over here because when we're finished, we'll go ahead and square that off too. So even if it looks a little wider here than down here, it doesn't matter because I have my nice straight line. All right, my design center. I know you're in here. There you are. Okay, this time we're going to send it to the embroidery side. So click here. See if it's registering. Oh, you know what? My fabric is over that edge. Yikes. Okay. Now it should work. Yep, you can even see my little wrinkle, which doesn't matter. I just need to see this line in my machine to know where to put my names. Did you hear that little beep? That means it's ready. It says the image is already there. All right. So let's head on over. And I'm thinking of doing pink for the letters and then some of the darker colors, like every other one. So what I have here is the bright pink and the burgundy. All right, so on the embroidery machine, click OK. And there is our image. So we don't need to embroider that line again, but I'll save it for now just because I can use it when I do the other side if I want to, or I can draw another line. It's totally up to you, but I'll leave it up here for now. All right, so I want to click on add. And I better grab my sheet of paper with all the names because I had that pretty strategic in there. Now, there isn't a lot of room on the sides, and I don't want it to be, really huge letters. I just know I want enough to be able to put the names kind of cockeyed in different areas over here. So if you've never done letters before, click on number 2. The number 3 letters will be too large for this. So in here, you've got a lot of different options. This is always the hard part. Do I keep the same font that I did yesterday, which was that, or should I do something a little cuter? That's the decision of the day. What about this one? I haven't used this in a while. All right, so the first name up on the right side is Mike. So there's an M. Now, this is really important if you're adding letters. It tells me how big it is. Now, right now, my machine's in millimeters because that's what I've been working on. But you can change it to inches if you want. But that's pretty big. I don't think that's going to fit. So M, I'll make it a medium. Let's see how big small is. Let's do small. That was a capital. Okay. E. I can see it up here. Now, if I just wanted to have a line with all the names going straight across that way, then I'd be fine. But of course, I'm not going to do something easy like that. So I'm going to click set. Now, I could make the letters further apart if I want. All right. Let's see. There's Mike. Let's turn that into bright pink. I can see it right there. We'll bring it up here. And now when I click edit, if I click size, let's just see how much bigger we can make it. 1, 2, 3. I'm counting because I want all the letters to be the same. 7. Maybe I could have done the medium. That was about 8 notches. Click OK. And according to my paperwork, I want his name to be a little bit skewed like that. So click rotate. About 10. Now, remember, there's going to be another piece of fabric going this way. So for now, I think I'm going to leave it down here because when I do the top names, then I'll have that go over to the corner. So there's Mike. Click OK. Click add. So it is going to take a little bit of time to do this. I'm just going to do one side with you. You'll get the hang of it after that. All right, we've got Amy, A. Let's go back. Let's see what the medium looks like because that's about how much I raise that up. And then there's lowercase. Now, when I did these names, I'm not sure I did okay because all of these over here are like 5 letters or more, and all of these are like 4. So it might be a little bit skewed, but that's all right. All right, so here's the color for that one. For Amy, it's in black right now. That one we want to do burgundy, but for now, I'm just going to make it a bright yellow so you can see it. I'm afraid burgundy you're not going to be able to see. Click OK. Let's bring Amy over. No, that's still pretty big. So click on edit, and let's just make this one a little smaller. And you know what? It does not look the same. So I'm going to click OK here, and I'm going to click delete. So we're going to stick to the small letters, and I'll just make them as big as I can. That way, those longer names, I'll have a little more flexibility. So let's go back in here. A, go to the small size here. Click set. Click on color. Let's make that one yellow. Click OK. And then there's the Amy. Now, the nice part about doing all of these individually is I can change the size, I can rotate them, and if I need more room for one of the names, I can do that. This one we're going to rotate just a little bit to the right. So after I have all the names on this side, if I want to spread them out further, I can. So there's 3 more names for this side. Going on number 2, I'm choosing font number 8 in case you didn't see that. Next, we've got Colin. See? Yeah, if I spell somebody wrong, let me know, will you? Nothing like getting the family upset about that. Okay, same color. Yep, that's pink. Oh, don't worry, I've done it before. Not paying attention. So this one's about in the middle. This time we'll rotate this one going this way. And let's make him a little bigger. And as I go through here, if I decide, hey, you know what, some of these don't have as many letters, I'm going to make them a little bit bigger. You can always go back because we're doing these individually. So yeah, it's taking just a little bit more time. If you look closely here, I'm going to bring you in just a little bit more so you can see this a little bit better. All right, next up, Cody. I think you are all going to know everybody in my family by the time all the holidays are over this year, especially with the Print Moda because it's so much fun. All right, set. And let's turn that into yellow. We're just about done with this side. Let's make the size bigger. And rotate. It's looking pretty good. And I think we just have one more for this side. Yeah, Austin. But I want to make sure that Mike's name is, I can see that purple line right there. So when I add that piece of fabric, I don't want to go over that, go over his name. He probably wouldn't like that. You can see this section here on the screen if you look closely. Can you see where I ripped out the stitches because they were going through all of our heads? So I left those stitches. Those are going across Amy's head. It just looks like she's wearing a princess crown. It'll be fine. And then I think Steve and Jesse over here, I think one of their heads got covered, but they won't care. I don't know, Jesse, do you care? Okay, click add. We got one more to go. And then I think you're going to get the hang of this. Austin A. All right. And that is like it literally impossible to read, but I can see it up here. And it also tells you the measurements if you're curious. All right. And this one we need to make pink. Click OK. And we'll bring that down. Now you can see that wrinkle in the photo, but I actually laid the fabric flat now, so we're fine. Make this a little bigger. And rotate. All right, so I have everybody's name above the purple line where the next seam is going to go. or within the section, I should say. And if I can fit all of the names inside of this area and then do the other side, when it comes to the top, if I fit everything in, that's less of a distance. I have a little more room then because I have those extra edges. But if I decide I don't want to use them, I could put little hearts here. I was scanning Art Spirit now that I found my phone. There's some super cute things I could use for Mother's Day, little flowers. All right, click OK. And now let's go ahead and embroider that. But I don't want to change colors all those times. So go into Embroidery, under Layout, and right here. And now it put all the pinks first, and then the yellow, which is really burgundy, second. And we're going to skip that line for now. So under the plus minus, click down, and that will take you to the first letter. All right, let's put some pink in there. Bright pink is first. Lift this up, pull that thread out. So I think this is really turning in what was going to be just a really plain old fun mug rug, which I still need to make one. And I did pull one of my mug rugs out because some of you said, what is a mug rug? I've never seen one. So I've got one to show you. And you can go back into one of the previous Brother episodes and watch when I make that. All right, so let's do all the pinks. All right, it's looking good. Now let's look over here. Just in case you're new to embroidery, up here, it's going to show me I'm on the pink. And it's going to go all the way through there, and then it's going to go to the yellow. The green we skipped, but oops, there I go, touching the screen. So it'll tell you, and it tells you how many stitches, how much time. This whole thing is only going to take 6 minutes, and we're 1 minute in already. Pretty easy, right? And you can see, if you look closely, there's a little green X on here that's going through the letters. So wherever it's showing there, it's showing down here. I'm very excited. This is looking so cute. So do you realize that I'm doing this entire thing in the hoop? So you've heard of in the hoop projects, things like that. Well, of course, I could have taken it out and sewn it, but then I would have, if I wanted to put letters on, get another piece of stabilizer, put it down there. But because I had that bigger piece of stabilizer, now if you did this last week and you already finished, well, you can make another one. But you could add stabilizer to that if you need to. And then just go to your sewing machines, add another piece to make it a little bit wider. I'm not using any batting with this. I wanted it to be flat. Now, when I go to sandwich it, if I decide I want a little bit of batting, I have some set aside if I decide to do that. But you don't have to. Right now, it's just the fabric. And I can't remember if it was tearaway or cutaway. It's really not going to matter because I'm going to leave it in there, most of it. But yeah, and it's looking pretty good. So any questions so far while we're doing this? And I am live in the chat today, not on screen. So we'll be answering your questions in the chat. And also, by the way, we're on YouTube and Facebook. But after the live show, if you had a question that wasn't answered, come back to YouTube after and leave it there because I always check those in the evening. All right, it's looking fantastic. All right, so while that is stitching, I'm going to take you over to this screen here. Let's see. And show you the mug rug. I think I did this. You know what? I think this was actually in one of the master classes. But to give you an idea, this is the size. I brought in a rectangle. And I can do this on one of the next episodes if you'd like. Just leave a note after the show underneath the comments and say you want to see a mug rug. And that will be the next project. So we brought in shapes. We added decorative stitches around the shapes. We added a fill. I actually wrote this down and sent it to the machine with Artspira. We've got a couple satin stitches. And then the back side, when I was talking yesterday about the envelope closure, not yesterday, but last week, that's what it looks like. So once I flipped it right side out, there's your mug rug. Isn't that cute? I just need my coffee mug to go on there. All right, let's take a quick look. I think we have a few more minutes, so we could go through and start checking out our Spira for what we want to add. How's it looking? Oh, pretty good. So see how it's doing all of the one color? That just makes it so easy. I mean, when you're using a single needle machine, you have to go through and change all the colors. I mean, I love doing embroidery, and some of the embroidery designs that I'll do have like 20 colors in it. What's a bigger design? But it's a lot of colors. But you have to go and switch each time. Each time you use that color, because they're not going together, you could be there changing threads all day long, which isn't so much fun. That's not the best part of embroidery, right? All right, so let's head over there because I know we're going to have to change the thread here in just a sec. And the fabric's laying nice and flat because we pressed it. I added, when I added the laughter, the best mom, love, I did the same thing where I took a photo of the hoop and then just brought in these letters so I could see what they looked like. And I just embroidered these here right over those fills because those are loose enough stitches, it really doesn't matter. All right, we're getting there. Oops. I got so excited I tripped over the camera. There it shows us here where we are. And 4 minutes into this project. So I'm just curious, did you end up doing anything with Print Moda last week, those that have Print Moda? And hopefully I answered your questions on that. I know a lot of you had asked, can you use it as a regular printer? Yes, you can. Oh, this looks great. All right, so I'm just going to change my thread here. Oops, this one's like all, come on. I grabbed the wrong end. Don't you hate that when that happens on your threads? Now I got to figure out which one it is. Oh boy. Of course, because it's a live show. Why wouldn't that happen now? There we go. Okay. And I think this color gives it a really nice complement as well. Now, when I'm finished, if I decide I want to add stippling, oops, I ran it through and I did not hit the button to thread it. All right, here we go. Let's try that again. There we go. I guess it would help if you thread the needle, right? Okay, let's go back over here and I'll show you if you ever do that, what happens. Go to the plus minus and then just go back to the beginning of that color, which is yellow, but we're making it burgundy. Or if you had to go back and forth just a couple stitches, it's right here, plus or minus. What I love about these brother machines is they'll tell you when you run out of bobbin thread, unless you end up winding your bobbin and adding thread to what you had on there originally. That's not a good idea. All right, so I see a couple questions about the Print Moda. So I'm going to bring you over. I'm just going to move cameras just for 1 second. I'll bring you over here so you don't get seasick, and I'm going to take you to the Print Moda because some of you didn't understand really what I meant about the difference in the printer. So I'll meet you over there. All right, Print Moda. Fits right next to my scan and cut. It's perfect. I love having both of these set up in the studio. They both look nice. When I'm not using this, I just close it. And they actually kind of match. They got the blues. Of course, I got my pink going on. All right, so here's the Print Moda. Yes, it is a little bit bigger, but it has a beautiful top up here. So if you look closely, just slide this. So this tray right here is the paper tray. So I use it just like a regular wireless printer. That's the paper tray. Right here is the tray for fabric. Looks like I've got enough for one more. I better order some more. And you can get more of the fabric from your brother dealer. You can see it shows you how to slide it through. It automatically cuts. And that's the tray. Note to self, you've got enough for maybe 1.5 more photos. So very simple to use. And then you just pull this out and that's where the paper comes out. You also have section in the back where you can add paper, back here. And here's where the ink goes. Remember which side it opens here. Right here. So just come over here just a little bit more. You can see it's touch screen. It tells me my cover's open. Yeah, I know. And then here are the ink cartridges. They're really easy to take out and put back in. And I love that they have the different colors. So you don't have one big one for all the colors. And when it wears out, it wears out. And, you know, you've seen how much I've been using this a lot. Well, you probably haven't even seen all the stuff, but I try to post some of it. On here, it tells you how much ink you have left. And I still have almost the whole tube of black. And the other ones are over half full. So pretty easy. There's your settings, your functions, the home screen. And I leave it on all the time because if it ever does an update or if it does a print head cleaning, it just does it on its own. Yeah, pretty nice. But it looks nice there, right? So if this fits fine, if I didn't have pins over here, I could even move over further and then my scan and cut fits on there as well. All right, so it looks like our next section is just about finished. I'll take you back here so I can switch the camera back without making you seasick. All right. It's like the interim camera. I need to have like one of those that just like hanging out by itself. Like a picture. I don't know. What should the interim camera be? The squirrel cam? It's that time of year. I got to set up the squirrel cam again. We can watch Maxine with all of her little babies out there eating all the nuts I leave for her. All right, so that looks really good. So this side is finished, unless I want to add stippling, which I'm not going to do. So click OK. And now we need to rehoop this. And I'm just going to do one more section with you. I think you kind of get the idea. But before I rehoop, I'm going to go to the iron, give it a good pressing. There you go. It gets awful wrinkled being in the hoop, and I just want to make sure that all this lays nice. Plays nice with others. All right. Got a couple of puckers. There was just a little wrinkle in the fabric. I want to make sure. Can't give her a poorly embroidered table topper, right? All right, that looks fine. That looks really nice. Just press this one a little bit more here. Okay, so now our next piece is going to go from here to here. But before I do that, I want to do the other side. So that way my top pieces will cover up here and all my names will match on both sides. All right, so we'll do one more together and then you're on your own. You guys probably have this figured out by now anyways. At least I'll get you started over here. But now that you see the process, so here's this. We don't need all this extra fabric, so I'm just going to get rid of it for now. Okay, and we'll end up trimming a lot of that away later because we'll square the entire thing up. Also, when I'm finished here, I'm going to tear away that stabilizer on there, the excess that we're not using. All right, so the next section, we're going to do this side. So you get the idea. You're going to have, actually, I just dropped my pieces. Hold on one sec. Come back. Here we go. I know what the other camera should be. I Spy. You leave it just in one spot of the studio. You guys can probably find so much stuff I can't find. Okay, so the next one, we're going to do the same thing. A line that goes here. And we'll take our fabric. And let's see, that's right sides down. And again, you want to give yourself a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So I'd slide this over. It'll stitch. We're going to open it. Put all those names. Make sense? Actually, you probably don't even need to see this. You just saw that. So let's pretend that this was sewn already. Now, when you go to rehoop this side, you're going to take the hoop over here, just like you did with that last one. Now, when it comes to the, let's pretend this part's all done. When it comes to these other sections up here, let's see if I've got enough room. I do. I'll rehoop it this way. So I'll have to rotate all of my words so they match. So this piece of fabric will go right sides down, like that. There will be your stitch line. Now this time you'll have to make sure your stitch line goes from one side all the way to the other. And then this will come up like this. Is this making sense? It's like making a quilt without quilting. And see how nice that's going to look? And then we'll add names up here. And you'll do the same thing for the bottom. And the reason I said you need to make sure that this line here goes all the way over is because you need to sew down these other two pieces here that you already have on. So then the bottom and the top will be last. And I've got one more piece over at the sewing machine, but I can use, oh, this one's long enough if I lose a piece. There's your line here. Now, after you have these two pieces, if you can't see that line anymore, draw another line following that and have it extend all the way across so you can see it real good in your photos. Now, if you're using the luminaire, use your projector. And also with that line, because it's a straight line, when I bring that line to do some of these, I can use the laser light where you choose one spot and the other, and it will turn that line so it's right where you want it to go. So if you haven't used that feature, class. All right. So basically, this is what it's going to look like. I'll have names going all the way around it. And when I'm finished, I'll give it a good pressing, and then I'll go through and I will include a seam allowance. I'm going to cut all the way around so it's nicely squared off. Okay, so I'll have it's going to be basically a rectangle. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing. Let's go back over to that mug rug so you can kind of see it. There you go. When I'm finished, I will do an envelope on the back, just like this on the back side. If you don't want to do an envelope and you only have one piece of fabric, let me show you what you'll do on the machine. So I'll take you back to the machine and just show you these steps. Here you go. All right. If you don't want to do the envelope on the back, which sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It's about a 50-50. But you have other options. Okay, so first of all, in here, we don't need to save those names, so click OK. I want to show you a couple things that you might not have seen yet. So let's return and delete, 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 I could just go back to the home screen and go back to embroidery, but I'm just starting over. So there's my line. Now, when I go to embroider, I can still use that for the other pieces. So I will use the same line. I'll move it over here to match after we rehoop. And then when we go to embroider, I can use my laser light here. I have to attach my embroidery frame, but I can use the laser light. You know what? I'll go ahead and attach it just so you can see what this does. In case you've never done it, because it's really cool. I'm not even going to put anything in the hoop. I'm just going to put the hoop in there. Have you tried the laser light? So this is the Stellaire XE2. Would also work on the XJ2 and the upgrade. Okay, so there's nothing in my hoop right now. It's just an empty hoop, but it needs to know that there's something there. So click OK, and the icon we hit was up here to get it to go there. Okay, right there. And you can see my line right here as I move it. What you can't see over here is there's a little red line right there. So I can see exactly where that's going to go if I want to. And then under layout, here's where you can do a basting stitch. I'm going to go back here to embroidery. So this line is the same line that we're going to use for sewing all those seams. Now, when you come to the other sides, if you're turning to the side, if you need more or less of that, just use your size. And I can make it longer. Remember, for those other ones that need to go a little bit longer, put it in the center, make it as long as you can, and now that will be fine for those lines. All right, am I missing anything? I don't think so. All right, embroidery. Yeah, okay. So one more thing. On return, when I click return, I'm going to delete this. At the very end, when you want to make your sandwich, I would say, you're putting the fabrics together. If you don't want to do an envelope, go in here and click on number 4. All right. And see that rectangle there, number 5? And then click on number 10. That's just a plain old straight stitch. Click set. You'll click on edit. You'll rotate. Now this one has curved edges. If you don't want curved edges, go in there and find just a regular square. But in here, I click on size. I can make this as big as I want to. Okay, that looks fine, but now let's rotate it because my hoop is pretty big. Now click OK. Now click size, and you want it to be as long or wide as the hoop. Use these functions right here. And you'll take a photo of your picture so you'll know exactly that all your letters will be inside of here, and you make this as big as you can to fit that. And then you hit OK. And the only thing, though, is when you're doing this, so this is if you're doing the envelope, where you have one piece of fabric and then the other. Now, if you're not, then you have to do it in My Design Center. So not to get you confused. That's the outline if you're doing the envelope. If not, go in My Design Center. And in here, click Shape. Let's just pick a real square this time. And it's just the outline. Click OK. There it is. And on here, click Size. Again, you'll use My Design Snap app and bring the photo of your hoop inside of here so you know how big this line is. So click OK. And I want to save this because I want 2 of these boxes. So there's one, all right? And then click Duplicate. There's the other one. So this one here, I'm going to move to the side just a little bit. Okay. And click on Eraser. And I'm erasing just a section there. I like to have that first box just to have it. You don't have to, by the way. You could just have just this one here. So let me just go back in here for the eraser. Why are you doing that? Well, that box, when you go to embroider it, will have a little opening, and then you'll flip it right side out, and then you'll tuck that in. Make sense? I'm going to bring just one up here just so you can see it. And again, ask your questions. Even though I'm not bringing them live on screen today, I still go back and check them. There you go. There's size. Let's just make it a little bigger because this is what yours would look like. I'll bring you a little closer just so you can see that. I know sometimes there's a glare on there. Click OK. Click the eraser. And you need an opening just big enough that you can turn it right side out. And then you would just need one piece of fabric then when you're making that sandwich. All right, that was a lot of information. So if you have any questions, pop them in the chat. What I'll do is I will show you, because I'm going to go through and add all the names. I don't think you need to watch all that. I'm going to embroider everything, and I'll add some photos on Instagram or on the Reels on Instagram. So if you go to my Instagram, which is Angela with Fashion, you can watch the rest of this happen. And then if you do it, make sure you use hashtag brother sews, because they'll love to see that. So I'll bring that up for you. And let's see. Oh, I brought Sarah Vetzer up there. Here you go. Brothersews.com, that's where you find the blogs. AngelaWolf.com is where you find the schedule of what's coming. I usually put it a week in advance, unless I'm crazy busy or something. And let me just make sure you have the hashtags here. Yeah, I think this is going to be super cute. So while I was doing this, I was thinking of so many other ideas that Brother gives you ways to customize. So what I might do before, let's see, my mom's birthday just passed, but just think of somebody who has a birthday coming up, or maybe something for Christmas way early. I'm going to have each one of my nieces and nephews sign something for my mom and turn it into embroidery by either scanning it in or taking a photo with my Design Snap app and turning it into embroidery. You can do it in Art Spira as well. All those options. So it's so easy to customize in just a few minutes. Grab a cup of coffee and start embroidering. All right, everyone. It's so nice to see you. I hope you have a fabulous weekend. Happy Mother's Day to all of you that are celebrating this. Is it this weekend? No, it's next weekend. I get confused when I do the pre-record. Let me see. Yeah, it's next. So you got a whole week to do this. All right, Brother. Thanks for letting us take over your page. Until next time, happy sewing, everyone.